Imagine being the poor person that's going to be like a PA or something. It's just like, now remember what we spoke about, Marjorie. No posting Twitters till it's checked with me first. Wake up and it's like some, whole list of things at 4 a.m. Or you just see Marjorie Taylor Greene trending. You're like, oh no, please.
Exactly.
I'm supposed to be going on holiday at the end of the week. Hello, everybody out there in YouTube realm. This show is called A Very Special Relationships and looks at everything US and UK politics related and asks, what the hell were you thinking? So joining me today from the US of A is Andrea Bridges-Smith. Hello, Andrea.
Hello, Matt.
And looking at everything limey side is me, Matt Johnston. So how's everything holding up, Andrea? In particular, the possible, can't believe I'm going to say this, next possible leader in the US, El Trumpo.
Well, it has been a big week over here in the US because it's when the election really starts to come into sharper focus. So yesterday we had what is called Super Tuesday, which is where a lot of states have their primaries all at once. So Trump and Biden, of course, were the favorites going into it. And no surprise, they both won their delegates pretty easily. And also, perhaps unsurprisingly, Nikki Haley has dropped out of the race today. So she just gave a speech a little while ago. It was interesting because she didn't endorse Trump. She said he needs to earn her fans. And I was like, all right, spicy girl. That does mean that it looks like it's going to be a Trump versus Biden rematch in November, unless, of course, one of a million crazy scenarios happens between now and then, such as developments in Trump's legal cases. One of them could drop dead at any moment. Trump could get arrested for a new crime that we haven't even heard of yet, because there's more of them out there. And one of them, could get abducted by space aliens. But, barring all that, it's Hollywood's favorite, yet another reboot.
Right. Okay. Sounds like you got your work cut out for you a little bit. Certainly.
There is a new threat that is coming towards America right now. New languages and new countries are invading America. El Trumpo,
You
as
mean
you
apart from England? Because that happened ages ago. We apologize. We've moved on.
Yes, you guys were patient zero on that effort, apparently. So you really kicked things off. Yes, so El Trumpo, as you have called him, is claiming that mysterious people are sneaking into America from countries that don't exist and speaking languages that no one speaks. Just thinking we might need to get the Duolingo owl involved here to help make things better. And you know that you can trust him when he says these things, because he is, of course, a noted anthropologist with a specialty in discovering hidden populations. I think we all remember his dissertation on the indigenous tribes of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which is widely respected by scholars.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you only need to look at his family tree to realize that there's probably quite a few missing links involved there as well.
Yes, exactly. What about you, Matt? How is your election going? Is everyone still speaking languages that actually exist, or have you started some new ones?
There's an old comedy line over here from a double act called Morecambe and Wise, where they're sort of this chap's trying to play the piano, and then he gets pulled up on it and gets told that he's playing all the wrong notes. And he says, I think I'm playing all the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order. And that's how I view some of the speeches being done by our parliamentary sort of leaders, as it were. It's actually budget day today. So while we're sort of taping this, that's going to be ongoing.
Okay.
Essentially, they're looking at a 2% cut in in income tax, I think. Which is like nothing. About on the average is about £450 a year. It's not going to do. Essentially, what they're trying to do is turn around to us and say the economy is improving. Everything, all the bad stuff you went through is now it's turning good. So their motto is don't let Labour, the opposition, take us back to square one. And everybody's been like, wait, I think you mean towards square one,
right?
Because we're in minuses at the moment. Anyway,
Matt, just remind me real quick. NHS fully funded, ready to go? No problems with NHS
we sorted all that. Everybody's got the money they were owed. Cool. Our debt's gone down to zero. Crikey,
Sure.
yeah, we're just
Go ahead and cut those taxes
burning
then.
money. So things are a bit clearer over here than in the US. The Conservatives will lose the next general election.
Yes.
Woohoo! There seems to be only two questions, really: when and by how many. The good news, if there's any, is that Rishi Sunak has to call the general election by January 28th, though, as that will be 5 years and 25 working days after we thought it was a good idea to let Boris Johnson run things. It just seems like forever away.
Yes, empires have risen and fallen in less time, right?
So Rishi Sunak himself has said it's the latter part of the year, probably about November time. But there's been rumblings around Westminster, which I don't think is Lee Anderson's stomach, by the way. So the Labour Party have said it will definitely be in May, but that could just be them trying to push the Tories into calling it one way or another. Word seems to be that a lot of it will depend on whether they can get the flights of asylum seekers to Rwanda off the ground. You know, that really stupid idea that no one thinks will work and everybody thinks is a really stupid idea, that one?
Yes, that one. I mean, the way things are going in the world of aviation lately, getting any plane off the ground might be too much to expect, especially if you want the doors to stay on. You know, I'm curious if you guys have thought of just flinging them over there with a really big catapult instead. It has the added bonus of being even less humane. So Suella Bravo, I'm going to be happy about it.
Honestly, I expect if she could, she would. So one big bit of news, though, is that a new poll, all these polls are coming out left, right, and centre at the moment, have shown that the Tories are at their worst polling since polling began back in 1978, basically before Margaret Thatcher was our Prime Minister. They're on 20%.
Wow.
Now, now 20% would, you think, leave you 1/5, because that's 1/5, isn't it, of the whole sort of thing. So that would leave you would think 1/5 of the MPs.
Yeah.
But ironically, because the ridiculous first past the post system, that we are thereby meaning the more candidates you have on the ballot, the smaller the vote share the winners need to win, basically.
Okay.
And it's something that the Tories have done very well from in the past. But this time it could be their undoing because of that latest polling. Could see them all but wiped out, down from over 350 seats at the last election to latest polling just giving them just 25 seats.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's, as I say, that is game over. I would say take these polls with a little bit of pinch of salt. I think we're getting to the point that the polls are being produced to make the headline.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I hope that there's some truth to it. I mean, the Tories crashing and burning is always a fun spectacle to watch. We'll have to.
Well, they'll definitely do that, but it's a question, as I say, will they do it to the point of being eliminated? That's the question.
It's so comforting to know that you have that to look forward to. You know, you can pop the popcorn, get a nice cup of tea ready, and just watch the flames. It's
shot of gin
nice.
in it, yes.
Yeah. Why not? So Matt, I know how much you love to talk about the royals, so I'm gonna give you that chance today. You're welcome. I keep seeing these articles about Kate Middleton. So everybody's like, she hasn't been seen in 2 months. Where is she? And then she was spotted, and everyone was like, oh, she's finally been spotted. I mean, this poor woman had surgery. Like, why can't people leave her alone and let her rest up? Like, she should be seen in public as she's recovering. Like, I thought forcing people back to work before they're fully healed from surgery was a thing that only Americans did. Like, are you guys doing that now?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to the royals, we can just run them into the ground. It's fine. It is all a bit odd. I mean, the Queen, Camilla, she's taken a breather and gone somewhere hot on her holidays. But I'm thinking, isn't that what royals do when they're actually working? But never mind. Right. So that just leaves Prince William shoring up the fort. That's another American saying, obviously. And it's gotten so bad, Prince Edward has been drafted back in. They've actually, I saw this morning an article to say that they cancelled one of Kate's future engagements. I genuinely don't know what's going on, but it's all a bit odd. I mean, the thing is, when you had the Queen in power, I suppose, it was a bit more, we knew what was happening. But now she's gone, it's all a little bit more up in the air, shall we say.
Yeah. I mean, I think, if they start letting Andrew come back in and do some events, that means things are really bad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if Harry gets a phone call, oh, that's not good. If Meghan gets a phone call, then poor Kate's going to explode or something. But anyway, speaking of women's health and perhaps the lack thereof, now that France has enshrined the right to abortion in its constitution, do you think that the UK or any other European nations are going to follow suit?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I spotted that. Rather interesting, isn't it, really? I mean, the
Yeah.
French are fairly, well, obviously very progressive, certainly when it comes to individuals' rights and things like that.
Mhm.
I have to say for the UK, probably not, because it is enshrined in law. Now, this is going to blow a few Americans' minds, but we don't really have a constitution as such. We, like you guys have like 300-year-old rules that you still have to stick to no matter what, you know.
Right.
Thank God it didn't say anything like you have to ride your horse. You'd all be living like the Amish, you know. But anyway, so the British Constitution is basically all the laws, rules, and treaties that we have enshrined in law. So as the new law gets put in, then that becomes a part of the British Constitution, effectively. So in a way, I suppose it already is.
Okay, that's a novel concept. It's kind of like a Google Doc that you can just keep adding to, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, obviously our relationship with abortion is very interesting. And one of the things that's kind of cropped up lately is we're having this battle over IVF. Have you heard about any of this?
Yeah, I heard a little bit, but not too much. You're obviously far more up on it than I am, Andrea. So please fill me in.
So basically, the Alabama State Supreme Court said that IVF embryos have the same legal protections as any other human, which meant that IVF clinics in the state had to temporarily shut down because part of their job involves occasionally discarding some embryos because they aren't going to be used or perhaps they're not viable. So the idea was either you keep these baby sickles on ice forever, even after their parents' great, great, great grandchildren are dead, or the sun explodes, whichever comes first, or those embryos have got to get stuck in someone's uterus and we got to see what happens, even the non-viable ones, which would be signing women up to have state-ordered miscarriages. Now, Republicans were falling all over themselves to support IVF after this. So a Democrat introduced a bill to protect IVF nationwide. And they were like, all right, you support IVF? Here you go. Here's the bill. Go ahead and sign it. And then all the Republicans suddenly were like, oh, I think I hear someone calling for me in the next room. I gotta go. And, they don't seem to have the ability to follow through on that strong, strong support that they keep saying that they have. Being a woman in the US is just so great sometimes.
Yeah, unless you want to be president, of course. You ever watch Monty Python?
Yes, a long time ago.
There's a
Yeah.
bit in a Monty Python film, I think it could be, I can't remember which one it is, where basically they sing a song called, it's a Catholic, and he sings a song called Every Sperm is Sacred.
We're getting to that point.
Yeah, every sperm is good. I wonder if we're getting to that sort of stage. You know, there's
Yeah.
3 million lives, you know, and each one has to be protected.
Yes, we are headed in that
But
direction.
in a wider thing, I have to ask, I made the crack about the fact, obviously, you've never had a female leader. And I want to make a wider sort of point, and you mentioned about the sort of whole business revolving around abortions, about whether America has a misogyny problem. I was going to relate a light-hearted story. It's not as heavy as the whole abortion thing, so
Okay.
bear with me.
Yeah.
Me and my partner are out having a meal in Exmouth, a place, you know, my mum sort of lives down that way, down in Devon. And at the end of it all, my partner, she turns around and pays the guy with a credit card. And the couple at the next table, subsequently found, because he has an American accent, turns around and he says, oh, wow, you let her pay for the meal? Oh, wow, let me get some of that, blah, 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 blah. In a way of sort of saying, you know, what, you let your wife? And I make some sort of light-hearted remark, you know, have a bit of a chuckle. And then my partner turns around quite rightly and says, actually, it's none of his business. You know? And I think that's a fair comment, really. But
Yes.
it got me thinking after then, is that, you know, this whole thing like, oh, you can't have this thing where a woman can pay for a meal or something like that. I don't know. Or, you know, have I got the wrong end of the stick here? Or is that just, I don't know. Please
Let's see.
enlighten me.
Being a woman in America, they're perfectly happy to let us pay for things, it seems like. But as far as the, abortion thing goes, so it's, each state is different in terms of what you can do. So I live in Texas, where there is a 6-week abortion ban. So
6 weeks.
yeah,
So once you get past 6 weeks, you have to carry that baby to the full term. Well, not a baby at 6 weeks, obviously, but the
right.
fetus to full term. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's, if you are inconsistent with your cycle or you're not paying close enough attention, it's real easy to
Mm.
sail past that. And
Oh
then,
God, yes.
I mean, for some people, there's a conversation that takes place about what are we going to do? You have some time to consider things. Not
Yes.
in Texas. You better have your mind made up, while you're
Oh.
peeing on the stick. So we have one of the strictest abortion bans in the country.
Sorry, can I just ask, what
Yeah,
was the thinking behind the 6 weeks? Was there some sort of medical? I can't imagine there's some sort of medical thing. I
yeah.
can only imagine it's theological. Was that the idea? Is that because that's what God had envisioned or something? I don't know. Was there a sort of certain point they were like 6 weeks rather than 8 weeks, 10 weeks, or like no 6 weeks?
I think that it was there's a bit of a calculation there. So for Republicans, this is very unpopular. People don't like this, okay? Like even most Republicans, like this is widely unpopular,
Right.
abortion bans. But Republicans were like, yeah, we stand for this, and so we got to do what we're gonna do. And there's a bit of a calculation there. So I think if they said you can have an abortion at 4 weeks, well, that's not even possible. Like you have to be checking I think it's maybe the point at which enough of the hormone shows up to be testable, you know,
Wow.
would be around like 5 or 6 weeks, like I don't even know if you could take a pregnancy test at 4 weeks and be able to get an accurate
Yes.
result because
Yes.
it's so soon. Um, so I think it was just the soonest possible that they could do it without people being like, okay, that's not even possible.
Not
So
physically possible. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they've said, no, we haven't outright banned abortion. You can still get an abortion. You just better be taking a pregnancy test every single day of your life, and have an abortion pill doctor on speed dial, like, you know. So there's, the thing about motherhood in America is it starts off this way with this like, hey, you got to have the baby, have babies. You should have babies. And then as soon as you've had the baby, the government is like, fuck you, bye, and you're like, wait, can I have some help? And they're like, I don't know, can you? And you have to figure everything out yourself. And it's hard. And
Yes.
having had 2 kids, and having had, challenging pregnancies both
Mm.
time,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's not, you know, it's not easy. I can tell you that much. And there was a case here in Texas that got nationwide attention a little while back, and it was this woman who was pregnant with a baby that she wanted, and they did the 20-week scan, and they found out that this baby had this horrible genetic condition that meant if it didn't die in utero and managed to be born, then its life was going to be extremely short and very painful and awful. And so the, just being pregnant with this baby risked her ability to have future kids.
Mm.
So she sued the state to say, can I please have an abortion in this case?
Yeah.
Can you make this exception? Because it's not good for the baby. It's not good for me. I want to have another baby. And this may make that impossible. And so, the state fought her tooth and nail to not give her that abortion, which is just cruel to everyone
I'm going
involved.
to go out on a limb here now. The
Yeah.
Attorney General in that case, was it a man?
Funny you should say that, Matt. It
Ah,
definitely was a man.
lucky guess.
Darndest
Lucky
thing,
guess.
isn't it? Yeah. I don't know how you got that one correct, but anyway, so it went back and forth in the Court of Appeals. She won and lost and won, and it was going back and forth. And eventually, in the middle of all that, she just left the state and got the abortion done, and kind of rendered it a moot point, except for the fact that this happens to other people. And so, Matt, when you ask if there is a misogyny problem in America,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Here's a
yes.
can of worms.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
There's
Would
me
you like a
starting off
second
with
can of worms?
slatch it to some dynamite, chuck it in. There's me starting off with my, what is after all a fairly whimsical sort of tale about having a meal and somebody interjecting. And yeah, wow. So the answer is yes, a clear one. Do you
Yes.
think that might change with the introduction of which is going to happen sooner or later, isn't it, a female president?
You would hope so, but I mean, the way that they treated Hillary Clinton, I don't know.
Mm,
Everybody was like, "Oh, it's because she's a Clinton," and it was like, I think it is. I think that's part of it, but that's certainly not all of it.
no.
We have Kamala Harris, who hasn't really caught on in terms of popularity. She's not really well liked. Nikki Haley, of
Mm,
course, stepping out of the race today. The female presidential candidates, they don't seem to fare very well. So if we could get one in office, I would hope that they would do things like, national protections for abortion, parental leave, uh, paid maternity leave, subsidized childcare, policies that actually help mothers
yeah.
instead of just throwing them in a lake full of crocodiles and, then throwing in a bucket of chum right after them. But, Nikki Haley wasn't planning on doing any of that. So I don't know. Well,
We'll see.
the government is largely run by dudes over here, and I know
Yeah.
over there as well. I think you guys,
Yes.
you've had some female prime ministers, though. We won't talk about that last one.
No.
But
Or
you
indeed the one
guys,
before, or the one before that. Ironically, for the fact that Labour is such a broad church and more liberal than the Conservatives are, they
yeah.
never had a single female leader. Tell a lie, they had an acting leader,
Mhm.
Barbara Castle,
Okay.
but they've never elected a female leader of the Labour Party. One
Interesting.
of the few parties, just about every other party, including what were they called? I think the English National Party, a horrible kind of racist party, as it were.
Uh-huh.
Even they had a female leader at one point. So just about, you can name every single party in the UK, they will have had a female leader, with the exception of Labour. And now it's getting to be one of those. I don't think Labour ever had a problem with that. For instance, I saw that they've got like the highest share of, they've got certainly more of a higher share than the Conservatives do of females to males within the party. And of course, that means extra sort of voting strategies and stuff. But I think the conversation tends to be a bit more. I can't imagine, I suppose because we've had abortion here for, decades now, I can't imagine it ever going back. And I can't imagine the conversation that would needed to be had for us to ever go back to that.
So your conservatives aren't even attempting to
No,
do that.
no,
That's
that would
interesting.
be, yeah. Funny enough, if they were to win an election on it, they might consider it. But as you
Yeah,
say, it's not exactly popular over there, and I think people would quite rightly see it as people never like the government getting involved anyway.
right,
But that is getting involved, isn't it? That's like putting on your surgical gloves and sort of
right.
peering over. It's like, you wait in the waiting room, please, passing
Yeah.
out cigars and so none of the far right parties, no matter how far right you go, are talking about introducing abortion.
Yeah.
None of them. It's just not. It's not a vote winner.
Well,
I can't see
they
it
have
being.
more sense than ours because ours are, they there's this expression over here, and I don't know if you have it over there. It's like the dog that caught the car, like when
Oh
a dog's
yes,
chasing a car and they
yes.
catch it, and it's like, now what do you do? It's that's kind of how things have gone with abortions and conservatives. They fought for this and they finally got what they wanted, and then people immediately started voting against them, and it was like, oh, what did we do? And so now,
Yeah.
Donald Trump will brag about the fact that he overturned Roe v. Wade to satisfy his base, but then he turns around and says, but I don't think there should be a ban, everywhere. I think the state should, and I'm moderate on this, and it's like, no,
It's
you're
that sort of
not.
commitment we like to see. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mr. Commitment
exactly.
himself.
Exactly.
Funny enough, when you spoke about the expression "the dog that caught the car," and this is nothing. You'll forgive me. This has nothing to do with women's rights or abortion or anything like that. But it was the day after the Brexit vote happened, and all the way through the Brexit vote, Boris Johnson, who'd been leading it, and Michael Gove, who's like second in command, if you like, they've both been part of the Leave campaign.
Yeah.
And all through the way, they were going, yes, we leave the EU, we do this, we do that. And subsequently, you found from people that they never believed that they thought they were going to just lose, but it wouldn't matter because they would do a good campaign and just move on with their life.
Right.
But the next morning, they come out having realized they've won, and just the expressions, they're just like this. It's remarkable, really. It's just that it's probably about the only time before or since both with Johnson and Gove that I've seen honesty from them. That was a
Yeah.
real, genuine expression of oh shit. Even though they weren't in government,
Right.
are convinced as well that Johnson dropped out the race deliberately because he was and Gove went against him deliberately, so they both could end up dropping out the race, so they didn't have to deal with the Brexit thing that they started. In a way, this is talking about the fact that women have to pick up the shit that men do, because of course Theresa May took over from David Cameron. So in a way, I suppose this is women cleaning up men's mess. Yes, there we go.
That we've certainly developed a talent for it.
Have you seen the clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene? One of the few women in the Republican Party, I understand, or maybe not. There's probably quite a few, but certainly one of the most high profile, should we say that, for all the wrong reasons.
Sure.
But there's a clip of these. She used to be a BBC News reporter called Emily Maitlis, who's now with working for something called the News Agents. And they just love to get to the bottom of just absolutely everything. The reins are off, and they're just, we're going to go with this. He's having a conversation with Marjorie Taylor Greene, saying about Trump, about running mate for Trump, and she's kind of setting her up nicely. Marjorie Taylor Greene nodding away and going, yes, and Trump, yes, absolutely, wonderful person. There's so many people he wants to be his VP, all this sort of thing. Then she says, why is there so many, just straight out the blue, why are there so many conspiracy theories?
Do you think President Trump, Mr. Trump, is closer to picking his VP, and should you be on that list?
Oh, that's the question everyone asks. And no, I don't think Nikki Haley should be on the list. But of course, President Trump will choose who he wants for VP.
Would you like to be on that list?
He's got a long list. I support President Trump in any way he'd ask me. But I can assure you it won't be Nikki Haley.
And can you tell me why so many people that support Donald Trump love conspiracy theories, including yourself? He seems to attract lots of conspiracy theorists.
Well, let me tell you, you're a conspiracy theorist, and the left and the media spreads more conspiracy theories. We like the truth. We like supporting our Constitution, our freedoms, and America first. So
what about Jewish space lasers? Tell us about Jewish space lasers.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers? And really, why don't you off? How about that?
Thanks. Thank you very much.
I did see that clip, and I had two favorite parts to that. Number one, I like the beginning part where she's asking Marjorie Taylor Greene about, would she be one of Trump's VP picks? And
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene misunderstands the question and talks about how Nikki Haley can't be a VP pick, and she's bad. And it's like that wasn't the question. Also, I think this is very in character for Marge. She is not known for being a particularly chill person.
Right.
I do think it's really funny though that someone is asking her, like, you said this, talk about it. What's going on with that?
Can you because I'm kind of aware of the Jewish space lasers thing, but I'm not exactly sure where the story kind of came from, how it started. Can you fill us in, basically?
Yes. Okay. So the deal is there were some wildfires happening in California. And instead of thinking that they were started the usual way by, someone smoking a cigarette and then dropping it or something like that, her theory was that Jewish people had a laser in space that was pointed at California to start the wildfires. And there was some sort of profit that could be had if they burned down a large segment of California. Details are a little bit fuzzy there because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But yes, that's where the Jewish space laser thing came from. She thought that that's how those wildfires started, and that was a thing that she posted on her own Twitter account. So it's perfectly fair for this reporter to ask her about it.
Yeah.
And you can tell that maybe she doesn't like getting that question because she doesn't really have a good answer for it. It's not really a defensible position. So
imagine being the poor person that's going to be like a PA or something. It's just like, now remember what we spoke about, Marjorie, no posting Twitters till it's checked with me first. Wake up and it's like some, whole list of things at 4 a.m. Or you just see Marjorie Taylor Greene trending. You're like, oh no, please. Exactly. I'm supposed to be going on holiday at the end of the week.
Yes, I think her PR people and Donald Trump's PR people must be calling each other every 10 minutes going, dude, have you seen this shit? Like, can we go get a drink later? I'm so tired.
Yeah. Can we get all the film? What do you mean it's gone? Of course it's gone digital. It's gone viral. Yeah.
Pour one out for them. Now, Matt, I want to end things on a little bit of a lighter note.
Right.
Have you heard about this Willy Wonka experience in Glasgow that turned out to be an absolute scam? This is so funny.
Yes, I have. So for those that aren't aware, it was an immersive theatrical event that took place in Glasgow last week. It wasn't called Willy Wonka for, there's copyright issues revolving around that. The main character was actually called Mully Macduff. Okay. And it had this character dressed all in black with a chrome metal mask called The Unknown. And before you ask, Andrea, I don't know why.
I mean, it sounded like it was, mixing an AI fever dream with a 9-year-old school project. I know people were disappointed that showed up to it, but honestly, they've got a great story to tell for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, much like the actors, I suppose. The phone hasn't stopped ringing because the BBC and ITV want to hear all about how badly this went. So for those that aren't aware, the person behind it did all this AI graphics and stuff to show what could happen. But you get there on the day and it's an abandoned warehouse with little bits of, I don't know what, like a little tube over here. And when they were given sweets, they actually ran out of jelly beans to the point where they had to give the kids 1 jelly bean each. And you're like, once you get to that stage, you might as well not bother. You might as well just turn around and go, here's a $5 or something, because there's no point. Exactly. I've got nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we should create a new expression that can be used on both sides of the Atlantic. A 1 jelly beaner.
Yes.
That means throw in the towel, give up.
Yeah.
Just, like
today's feeling. Beaner.
Yeah, exactly.
Rishi Sunak is facing a single jelly beaner. Absolutely. I love it.
Yes, exactly.
I do have to say, I've got a bit of personal experience when it comes to immersive theatrical events. As a sometime actor, although I'm not bragging about saying I haven't actually taken part in anything quite as bad as the Wonka event, I will be performing as part of the upcoming Paddington experience. That's at Waterloo in London. You can find out details online about that. Just look up Paddington experience.
Okay.
And no, I'm not playing a bear.
Okay. That's exciting. Guys, go get
Yeah.
your tickets for that.
Yeah. So, trivia time. Do you know the name of the actor that portrayed the very first Mr. Monopoly as part of an immersive theatre event?
I do not.
It was me.
It was. Ah.
Yeah. Yes. That was
Fantastic.
about 3 years ago, and I'm still doing it every so often. But yeah, essentially, I was the first person ever, apparently, that's what somebody told me, on the planet to actually physically, manifestly play Mr. Monopoly.
Well, excellent. You've got the market cornered on that. So the first and the best, no one else is going to be able to live up to it.
Yeah. It's the original. OG,
Yes.
is that right? Yes.
The OG. Yes, you are the OG. Well, everyone, that is all the time we've got for this week. We're going to be off next week, but I will be back here Friday to catch you up on all things having to do with Super Tuesday and the State of the Union. It's going to be very exciting. While we're gone, you can go catch up on Matt's channel at The Interesting Times UK. Head on over there if you need a little company from your favorite Brit. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Matt, thanks for being here, and we will see you all next time.
Bye-bye.